Well, good morning, everyone. We're doing an interview with my dad, Harold Lyon, for this morning for over 50 years of artwork. And if you're wondering how he started and where he is now, and some of the things that he can do and the details, and we'll just go on from there. So, hi, Dad. How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
So, people are wondering, what is it that got you started with being an artist?
Well, you look around in the world and you see beautiful things. You see sunsets and sunrises and beautiful skies and flowers and that, and you want to tell a story and simplify it and make it even more beautiful than it really seems. It's like music. You hear a lot of noises, and then if you put the noises together in the proper way and leave out the bad noises and put in the beautiful noises, you have symphonies, you have songs, you have music. And the same thing goes with words. Words don't mean as much as they could, but you hear words, and then if you can write poetry with words and tell stories, and I guess that's what it's all about. Painting is the same thing. You want to tell a story, a beautiful story, and want to make it better than it really is, than it looks on the average.
And is there anyone that really got you to, it inspired you as a little child that? Well,
I suppose I looked at Rembrandt's work and Leonardo da Vinci, and I liked what I saw, and I guess that was inspirational in itself. So I decided when I was about 10 years old that I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to be as good an artist as I could be. And there was a lot of, you have to make a living, and it all started back then, and I learned how to make money and save money and spend money, so it's easy to spend.
Yeah.
I think that's where it started, and I always had my goal set on being a really good artist, and eventually I went through the various procedures and worked in television and did fashion drawings and furniture drawings, and now I was in Seattle. I was doing furniture work, and I had a little extra spare time, so I thought I'd start painting, and I did, and put them in the Art of Sales Gallery, and they started selling, and I said, oh boy, that's good. And it got to the point where I couldn't keep up with the paintings, and so I decided to have my own studio in Peachland, British Columbia, and I started painting full time. Well, that's a big commitment. So I had several galleries, and I started selling works, and just went on from there, from one subject to another. So
yeah,
I have a lot of paintings out there. I have 9,500 paintings, believe it or not. But
and some people still have them and come up from the 70s.
They're looking at them and bringing them out, and I see new paintings. New again, because I did them, but I've forgotten about them, and there's a lot of paintings out there, but I've decided to sort of retire, and I've always liked having artists around me that are good, because there's an inspiration right there to surround yourself with artists who are good.
Right. How about showing us a little demonstration of what you can, how you draw and how it starts and things like that?
When I first started painting, I had no control on I was doing a tree and that, and I had no control, but I'll show you how control starts. It's very simple. I'll make 3 or 4 little dots here, and they're all independent, and they're not moving. And there's a reason I can make these things move by just going like this, and you can see that's moving that way, and that's moving that way, and this one is moving this way, and that one's moving that way. And the reason that is because when you look at a car or a person walking, your eye always goes to the leading edge. And so when you're looking at the leading edge, it's sharp, and you can't look at the front and the back at the same time. So this appears to be moving because this is sharp and this is kind of fuzzy, and they look like they're moving. And when it comes to doing drawings, you start out, I can do a little demonstration here. I like drawing old buildings because it's what we see around the country, different buildings that people have had their hopes and dreams on. And you'll notice there's a lot of straight lines in here. I put a window in there, and I've done these old buildings many, many times, and each one is different. And you'll notice there's straight lines in here. Put a little fence on there, and I can even put an old wagon wheel back here. It's a little bit different. And you create interest by putting in different things. And of course, the old log fences, they sort of bend from the weight. And then when you want to make a change, this is how you control it. The wind, you can bring the wind and the grass in. And that gives contrast against the straight lines. You got little wind, and I have some paintings where I've done a lot with and inside this building is big and strong and sitting there, and you put some birds in, got some birds on the roof a little bit, and you put a big hawk over here, a little bit different. And that's how I start a painting, and of course I have another sketch here. It's the same thing. This is sort of just a story. The salt packers, couple of horses, cactus in the background, little mountains, and everything has to be in its place, but it's got to be brought together so that it all works in harmony. Now, I brought old Rusty out here, and I was talking about the grass. Here is an example. The fluffy is like the grass or the whiskers, they're sort of just, you got a change in the face. It's got one format, and then you come down in his jacket, and then you have some straight lines over here, which is contrast with this. And these things are sort of, if you were to go and blow on it, that hair would move. And that's the story you want to tell. And of course, you got to work with the colors and put in some. A color is only a color because it's beside another color, but you can change it. Look how this harmonizes, and you have the dark areas. It got his look, and you tell a story. This is old Rusty. I just love this old fella, And he had a Mackinaw jacket on, but he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he had different expressions, and so you tell a story, the harmony, and it's like music, you hear all kinds of sounds, and when you leave out the sounds that don't count and put in the sounds that do, you can make beautiful music. And there's lots of people out there with all kinds of talent and artists as well who, well, let's put it this way. I don't think the best music has been created yet. I don't think the best stories have been created. I think they're all waiting for someone to come along and make it happen.
Right. Well, it's a lot of people have told me they love the expressions on the faces of the people, and how and the funny is your materials that you get are from people you've known, experiences you've done, especially with animals and horses, animals and people from all over, landscapes and different colors from different schemes and different times. Like during the 70s, you had the gray era, and now as you've gotten older, the colors got brighter and more intense. And I guess things have to change with the times too. So,
Well, it all depends what your goals are. You set the goals and you make them. It's like, I remember it was very inspiring one day, and I was working in the bush skidding logs, and I hooked onto a log with had tongs that hooked onto a log, and I asked the horses, "Don't get up," and they tried, and they didn't move it, and so I asked them to go again. I get up, and they tried, and they couldn't move it. So I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble. So what can I do? So I took the tongs off the big log and I put them on a small log, and I said, "Get down in there." And they took off. They almost fell on their nose, and up that hill they went with the log and over to the skidway. And oh boy, I went over and I petted them and I showed them a little bit of love and affection, and their own necks were all curved up. And I went back and I hooked onto that big log and I said, "Get down in there." Well, if you've ever seen a bodybuilder with muscles, those horses had muscles like you wouldn't believe. And they took that log up the hill. And I stopped halfway up the hill, and I went up and I petted them and showed them a little love and affection. And of course, their own neck was up. They were all excited. And then I get down in there and they took it to the skidway. Well, those horses are like, they didn't know their own strength. And I think a lot of people don't know their own strength. And if they really got down in there and did a little painting and wrote some music, they could do it because they don't really know their own strength. And,
Right.
and that's just an inspiration to me.
yeah. Well, thank you, Dad. It has been a very good time, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Okay.
Okay.